So welcome everyone. I've got Nick with me today. Thank you very much for joining us, Nick. It's great to see you again. It's been a little while, hasn't it?
It has, and good to see you as well, Robin. Down here in Victoria, it's an absolutely miserable day. So I hope wherever any of the listeners are, it's a little bit better than where I'm at the moment.
Well, in Byron, it's sunny, but then again, we have had floods this year, so we've had our hard time. So, Nick, we've had a bit of a chat about this. That what people have got so much value out from is just like hearing the genuine stories from people about how they've made changes, wherever they were stuck or they were going to the next level of performance, just hearing those real stories. And I know you're someone who has always shared very openly and honestly, and I don't kind of want to give any more context than go, it'd be great to hear from you with, where are you at, how was the journey, where are you at now, and just focus on, some of the things that you've spoken previous to me around. So kind of over to you to set the scene, really.
Yeah, sure, no worries. So we first started working together probably approximately 2 years ago, give or take, and that coincided obviously with COVID coming about, and not that COVID was the main instigator for us working together, but it was most definitely a major component of it. So probably where I was at in terms of the period of my life, I had significant pressures in the workplace in terms of me moving forward a hierarchy, me being promoted by work, additional responsibilities, additional tasks obviously coming onto my plate. And then in the home life as well, there were some considerable pressures for the young family, the cliched juggling the work-life balance and so on, and trying to find how that also works with a strong and healthy relationship with my partner as well, and how that is going to play out in all of the context, the work environment, the family life, and all of the pressures that go on associated with that. So when we started working together, I believe that we spent the majority of our time in the first instance probably working through more of my personal circumstances and working through a lot of the issues that I was experiencing by myself and within the family environment, the non-work environment. And then as our sessions started to progress and we moved through probably give or take 6-12 months into our cycle, that we started to focus more upon my professional well-being and so on, and how I could better manage the work environment. Now, clearly both of them are interconnected with one another. So anything that I was doing to assist me on the home front was also beneficial on the work front, and vice versa. What we were saying just before we started recording was that I'm feeling like I'm in a good space at the moment. I don't pretend to either yourself or anybody else that I'm in an ideal situation where it's all roses and so on, and it's perfect. But I feel like I have been given a toolkit that gives me the ability to better cope and to better process and to better manage some of those challenges that inevitably come up, both in the personal and the professional work life. So it is very much a roller coaster, as we've spoken about. There are natural dips, there are natural highs. What I was struggling with when we first started working together was identifying where I'm at in terms of those cycles, identifying what I can do to help me move through those cycles. And I think where I'm at the moment is that I'm recognizing that they still occur, and that's okay. It's okay if it occurs, and it's not a problem that it occurs. I shouldn't punish myself when it does occur, because often it's outside of my control, and that's something that you and I work through a lot. That many of the things that I were experiencing, I shouldn't take on my own shoulders. They're matters that are obviously related to me, but they're not matters that I directly instigated or I was directly responsible for. So that was something that really helped in terms of the work that we did, was identifying what's occurring why it's occurring, and how I can navigate my way through those circumstances. It doesn't mean that eradicate them, because I think eradicate's probably something that's implausible.
Yeah. And like I'm on the same journey. Like I always profess, like I haven't, well, I've got some good information, but am I there yet? No, because life happens. And that's where sometimes I think, society, social media, everything sets too higher expectation. It's like, look at them, you're supposed to be ideal, follow my 12-step plan and you'll be perfect or fixed or whatever. And it's just like, no, that's just, we need to be more accepting. So
100%. And in terms of the personality assessment that we did very early in the piece, some of the findings that came out of that was that I was very critical on myself, and I set myself very high expectations, and I was almost a perfectionist to a degree, and but also I had a little bit of imposter syndrome that was in there as well, that no matter what I did, no matter what people were telling me that I was doing positively, I still had the perception that I wasn't doing enough, or that if they actually found out what I really was like, they would actually realize that I'm not as good as what they think I was. So that was a really heavy hitting outcome of our early sessions, and it really resonated with me. And I think that was something that was really, really prudent in our sessions, that bringing it all back to reality. So there's a lot of theory, obviously, in what we do, but the way in which you were able to convey to me, this is the practical reality of what I'm talking about. So this is not just the theory. In your personal circumstance, this is how it applies. This is what I'm talking about. And that made a huge difference to me, because that obviously gave me the tools to be able to identify when it's occurring and actually respond to it and do something about it.
And so, you've been on that journey. Just at the beginning, you spoke like so well around like what I think so many people, they're juggling so many balls. As you grow older, you get promoted at work, you have families, expectations and mortgages and friends, and like everything kind of mounts, and there's all these balls that you're kind of juggling, and there isn't a handbook about how you're supposed to do that. And so you said you were kind of struggling with that, but how, I don't want to kind of like dramatize it, but just to give some people some indication, like just how bad was it? What were the detrimental impacts, on sleep, or how you were feeling? What did it look like?
Sleep was a massive issue for me. I found myself going to bed at night and not being able to switch off. And I know that's probably quite common for a lot of people, but that was a major issue. And lack of sleep clearly influences what occurs on the next day. And I would say my personality was becoming very agitated in the home environment, not as a result of what was going on at home, but as a result of what was occurring at work. And I wasn't able to correctly compartmentalize what was occurring between those two different environments. And I was taking out my frustration in the home environment when it was occurring outside of the home environment. So I was at a point where, again, without wanting to sound dramatic and so on, but I think that I was genuinely at a breaking point, and genuinely at a point where I was going down a very dangerous path of not being able to cope. And it's a very serious matter for both men and women. Mental health is a lot more prevalent nowadays. The pressures of COVID and so on have played a substantial role in that. And it's not something that I was ever exposed to. My upbringing was very stoic from my parents, and it was put up with it unless you have a bone sticking out of your body and you're losing a liter of blood, that you need to get on with it. And I think that the conversations that you and I had, it was foreign to me. It was foreign to me, and it took me a long time to probably warm up to it. And you might recall that I might have potentially come across as not cold. I wouldn't say that's the right word, but I might not have been as open as what I am now 24 months down the track and so on. So it's, that's a big thing that I've taken away as well.
Yeah. Well, point blank, something that we said before, I said Nick looks about 10 years younger than when we worked together. So if you want a facelift, like, let's do some work, because, like the way in which, and it's funny, like when you said about when you work on the personal stuff, it helps you with work and vice versa, because ultimately what you were saying about was that, you wasn't sleeping, you were agitated, you were stressed, there was expectations everywhere, and you were taking it out on each of these other areas and stuff. If we think about, as a leader wanting to progress your profession, how well are you going to come across to people and influence them if that's what's going on for you? You're going to be agitated, you're going to be, as opposed to, today, which is like, hey, I'm not perfect, but I'm doing pretty well. And I know what I know, and I know what I don't know, and I know when something's wrong, and I know what I can do about it. And you're in that position of control and that ability to take leadership in your life in every area.
100%. And I think not only recognizing how I'm doing as well, the tools that you've armed me with have given me the ability as a leader in the workplace now to recognize what's happening to my colleagues. So I have a far better understanding and compassion of what may be going on in other people's circumstances that, again, may be beyond their control, but how can I assist them? What can I do to get the best out of them, and so on? And I was probably too much in my own little bubble and too much focused upon just trying to do what I'm doing the best to my degree. And I was failing miserably when I was just focusing purely upon myself. And it's amazing how, and this is very ironic, but almost the less you focus upon the pressure of being the best you can possibly be, the better you are. The better you are. So I know that's ironic.
I say around, focus on 80%, not 100, because at 80%, you'll be a much better version of yourself than if you're operating at 100, because you're breaking basically on a daily basis if you are. One last question, and I didn't kind of let you know that I didn't let you know any of it was coming really, but one last question. Picture yourself back 2 years ago when we were working together. If there's someone like that now, what advice would you give them at the beginning, before they've done anything? Like they're feeling the same way that you were feeling back then. What advice would you give that person?
Take your head out of the sand. I'd say that there is, you don't have to deal with this by yourself. And again, that sounds very dramatic, sorry, but it is. We're in a world nowadays where we are surrounded by networks, professional and personal. There are people such as yourself that are professionals in this regard to assist us. Don't try to take this on all by yourself and try to bully your way through a scenario or bully your way through how you are feeling. It's not going to work. You will inevitably spiral and continue to spiral. That assistance is there. Whether it be family, whether it be partners, whether it be friends, whether it be workplaces, whether it be professionals such as yourself, do it. It to me, and I'm not just saying that, it has made the world of difference. And I couldn't thank you, obviously, personally and professionally enough that it's made a massive difference in a relative short period of time.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Nick, for sharing your story so candidly with everyone. I'm sure they'll take a lot from it. And just emphasizing that point, if you're resonating with any of this, just reach out. And if anyone, my contact details are everywhere. I'm happy to catch up with anyone about anything, to have a chat about your situation and, prompt you, point you in the right direction. So there is plenty of help there and great advice. Thank you very much, Nick, and we'll see everyone next time.
Thanks, Robin.
Bye now.
Thanks all.
If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Feel free to share with friends and check out what's up next for more videos from my channel.